I'm Tamika D. Mallory.
And it's your boy Mysonne the General.
We are your host of TMI.
Tamika and Mysonne's information, truth, motivation, and inspiration.
New name, new energy, but
same old us.
What's good, Mysonne? How you doing today?
I am black, blessed, and highly favored today, Tamika D. Mallory.
I guess I'm black, blessed, and highly favored, but honey, my hands.
Your shirt said, "Look, black love
heals, black
that's
love."
Right, that's right.
But that was crazy. But anyway, my hands have been in the air like this for months, but definitely for the last few days. This is what I do all day. I just go, I don't know.
Yeah, you gotta take some deep breaths because it's a little crazy.
I mean, it's a lot. And we knew it would be this way. You know, I was talking to a person who runs one of the larger blogs. And they said to me, it's worse than I thought. And this is a person who knew how bad it was going to be and was calling us saying, what are we going to do? How can we, slow this thing down, stop it? Like, they were already in code red. This is bad. And they said to me, this is worse than I thought. And I said, no, it's not. It's not worse than you thought. You knew. That's why you was calling and doing chats and trying to pull people together to have conversations. It's just watching it all happen is deeply, like, you feel deep grief because there was a way to get in front of it. It was a way to get in front of it. It does not mean that things would have been perfect or that people who live on 135th Street and 8th Avenue or the South Side of Chicago or whatever community in St. Louis and North Carolina and places where folks have been distressed for generations upon generations upon generations of family members who have grown up fighting the system, dealing with oppression, being shut out of systems, being mistreated in the workplace. I mean, having inadequate health care, having poor education, having housing insecurity, food insecurity. These things have been happening. So I recognize that. And now the woman who lived in the house or the community who had the good job that was able to donate to the thing and help with the cake sales and whatever kept the underground economy moving, she has also lost her employment, her contracts, her ability to do mental health support, youth programs. The brothers who had money for, an addiction prevention program or violence prevention program no longer have that. So on top of the fact that there were all these socioeconomic conditions that had existed for too long, now we have a structural thing that is designed to remove whatever little bit of protections and resources that we have from our community. And it's all happening at the same time. And it's very distressing. And so all day long, I just do this. that's my only because it's a lot. And so I think, yes, black, blessed, and highly favored, but experiencing a lot. Do you remember in 2018 when we marched through a monsoon for Philando Castile? And we marched on the NRA, and this was during the Parkland shooting. After Parkland shooting took place, we decided that the Women's March was going to organize a march that was from Parkland to Philando Castile. We went from the NRA headquarters and walked literally from Virginia to DC to the Department of Justice in the middle of monsoon floods and rain to bring awareness to how these things connect, that people can turn out by the millions to support students in a school, which was real, needs to happen, and act like Philando Castile was nothing. And the NRA's response to our call for them to be more responsible in the moment and to speak out against the killing of Philando Castile was for them to put an advertisement, because we were saying we want to get rid of assault weapons, and I do believe in people's right to bear arms. So I'm not a person that's saying that I think all guns should be, people shouldn't have access to guns at all. I don't believe that. That's not my politics. But I don't think people need assault weapons where they can shoot multiple people in seconds. I don't think that that's a necessary piece of artillery in our society. So we want to make sure that, and I think that you need to have rigorous mental health and otherwise screening before you can even get access to a regular gun that is not an assault weapon where you could kill people in seconds, right? So that's where I stand. That's where my politics lie. And so when we started calling out the NRA, their response was to put out an ad. You remember they put an ad on TV, online and on TV.
What was the lady's name who did it? And she said your name in it and everything?
Oh, yeah. Her name, she was at the time, I don't know what she is now, the CEO, I think Dana or something like that.
Dana something, W something, Dana.
She's the CEO, did a piece. I don't remember. I think some of the other members of the Women's March, Linda probably was in it, I don't remember. But I know that it was specifically targeting me. And the rate of calls, the death threats, and the people showing up at my speaking engagements, with weapons and all that stuff, and the security had to be increased. It was a real thing, because when the NRA puts a target on you, the people who watch that and listen to it, they don't have knives. These are people who own weapons. That's why they have access to the content and they are paying attention to the NRA. So at that time, they were like, basically, we're the enemies. When they were asked to speak out on the situation with Philando Castile, because he was obviously
a licensed gun owner
who said, I have a weapon, I'm licensed, and the police still shot him and killed him in front of his family. The NRA's first statement did not even include his name. They said full investigation, troubling investigation. Then they caught some heat for that, and we was on their ass, and other people, when they came, and this is before the Women's March. This is in 2016. Then they came back with another statement that named Philando Castile and said it's a horrible tragedy and there's some things that could have been done differently and people need to take our training so that they could, which to me places some of the onus on Philando Castile, because why would you be talking about the training that citizens can take in order to protect themselves, right? So they caught a lot of heat for being ambiguous, taking a long time to respond, and then having a statement that did not squarely state that what happened to Philando Castile was wrong. But now that Alex Pretty has been murdered by the state, their statement is very clear. The statement says, and I'm paraphrasing, you all can go look it up, that he was a law-abiding citizen, that it is dangerous. They have gone as far as to respond on social media when the administration is saying that Alex Pretty shouldn't have had the weapon and whatever. They have gone as far as to double down on the Second Amendment and to say to reply to those social media posts, to put their stamp on it being dangerous, that there would be any implication that he did something wrong. They have entered the chat in the ways in which people asked them to do when Philando Castile was the subject of a shooting with a licensed weapon. And it makes me think about, which this isn't my thought of the day, but it's important and we can move on. It makes me think about what examples white people need to be looking at in this moment to understand the hypocrisy, right? Because I know white people are like, damn, some of us are out here, we're fighting, and we're being met with this constant reminder that white people now are getting shot, and so you care. And, you know, people keep on badgering black people, been going through this, going through this, going through this. And that sometimes might make a person feel like, damn, like, okay, you know, I have to keep hearing this, and I'm out here, and you just keep on coming at me. But it's things like what I just laid out that white folks need to be able to digest so that they can understand where this level of frustration comes from, that we need to lay out for you examples of the same thing happening. And yet you, as the NRA, which is a ultra conservative network, they made the right choice to defend the white man and wouldn't even call Philando Castile's name in their first statements. I mean, it's
and that's why when people say it's it's the same, it's never been the same. No. Even the state sanctioned, even the way that they killed, they're killing us, but even the way that the response from the public when it happens, right? This is like you just said, the NRA has been very conservative, and they always want to make sure that that carrying a gun is right, but they will never have that conversation when it comes to black people. Like, they will make sure that they stand up for the rights of gun owners when it's a white person. I have yet to hear them make any statement like that for a black person. So there goes your point. And that's why a lot of people are frustrated. And I say, excuse me, we're going to all be frustrated because there are going to be people that don't get it, and they keep saying, let them people go out there. And I say, and I'm very honest with it. And a lot of people don't know this, but most of the rallies that I go to when it's big marches, it's not predominantly black people at these.
No, it's white people.
This is just the reality of the situation, and it's been for George Floyd, it's been for Breonna, and I want people to.
Right. This is not new.
This is not new. So when people say, "Oh, let them people go," I'm like, them people been outside. I've been outside hand in hand with white people that stood in front of me and said, "Let me, the police, let me put my body in front of you." These are things that I know that happen, and because maybe you're not on the front line and you've never actually participated in any type of rally or march, or protest, you don't know that. But these things are happening. So at the same time, I do think that white people definitely need to step up in this moment, because this is a time that now the world is paying attention. These are things that are happening to white people, and they need to be on the front line. They need to put themselves in jeopardy like we've always done. But I also don't want you to think that they haven't been there.
Right. But they be lying though, because the lies, because here's my issue. When it comes to how they protest at the polls, the numbers don't be aligning sometimes. It'd be weird that you be on the street with them and it's millions of people. And it's true that millions of white people have voted against XYZ and all of that. But the numbers don't be aligning right, because the numbers be looking like when you go to the polls, you be with your husband and you make decisions based upon your family and your husband. And then when you come out here with us, you want to be in the movement and want to be telling us what to do. And that's why I made a comment to a white man who tried to tell me about how, because I'm going to be all over Eric Adams, the former mayor in New York City, because we're not going to let him be comfortable. And he knows that I have had issues and take serious concern with some of the shit that Eric Adams did and said while he was mayor. So he's thinking that he has found an ally in me by telling me that they're not going to let Eric Adams rest. Everywhere he goes, they're going to let him know, because of what happened with the white women on the plane, where, whatever, on the plane or in the airport, where she approached and heckled Eric. Mm-hmm. And he's like, we never going to let, that's what it's going to be. And I shocked him because I said, I hear you that we have the right to make people uncomfortable after they have done something that harms us as a broader community. But not too much on the black man when you have not heckled your mama. your mammy and your pappy need to be heckled also, because they have voted for this nonsense. They reinforce it. And in fact, many of them don't even like you anymore because their morals and principles align with what they see. They just didn't want it to be public. Okay, they sit at the dinner table, holiday time. And I always ask white people, Labor Day weekend is the weekend before election every year, the general elections. What did you do to get yourself uninvited from Thanksgiving? You shouldn't even be allowed to go to Thanksgiving, because since we heckling people, on Labor Day weekend, you need to tell your grandmammy, your mammy and your pappy, in the words of Tesla Figaro, that if they vote for these people, they're racist and they don't have, and they're not worth the life God gave. That's what you need to be telling them. And if you ain't doing that, then running and chasing the black man down the hall, that don't align for me, because the other thing, my son, the other thing is, we took care of Eric Adams. He's straight. We said 4 and done. You out. Yeah. You gone. Black men overwhelmingly supported Mamdani. And in the last I checked, it was early. It was that you all black men was the #1 voting block, but as the count has gone on, I haven't followed it, so it could have shifted. But nevertheless, that was significant as an early exit poll. So we did that. We handled that already. Go get your mammy, your pappy, your grandmammy, and your friends and family. Heckle them. It's enough white people walking around the airport. You could go chase white men down and heckle them all night long. And that's where I stand with it. So,
I agree. I definitely agree.
Anywho, let me tell you about my thought of the day, and I'm going to make it real simple so we can go, because we have this amazing interview coming up with someone who has been all day long sitting on the front line of the fight for freedom of speech by supporting Don Lemon and Georgia Fort and others who have been involved with these recent arrests, and particularly Black journalists.
Yes.
So she's coming up. My thought of the day today, Lizzo was on the live and she was reading the comment section, and someone asked her to comment on Nicki Minaj, which, by the way, I just want to say for the record, I done told y'all what was going on with Nicki Minaj when it first happened, and the people lost their shit, and now everybody is quiet. They don't say anything anymore because she has proven that it's worse than what I thought, because I was trying to say maybe she don't know what she's doing. And now it's clear she does know, and it was all part of a rollout. And y'all argued me down that she said it's not about picking sides. It wasn't about she's picking sides. So which side are you on? Is there a side now? Did Nicki Minaj finally pick? Because y'all said she said this isn't about picking sides. So did they get a side? Anyway, let me not go down that road. That work has been done. Lizzo is on this live. She reads the comments. In the comment section, someone says to her, what is your thoughts on the Nicki Minaj relationship to the Trump administration? And she gets real close to the camera and says, hey, it's a whole lot of people y'all finna find out. People who y'all respect, people with big platforms, I'm paraphrasing, who support Trump also. And as time goes on, you're going to learn about more and more and more of them. So get ready. Basically, buckle up. Yep. And I sat with that. And it occurred to me, especially after Alex Pretty, because I know nobody cares about women, Black, white, nothing. They don't care. They don't care about women. So Renee Good, God bless her, because I can tell you right now.
Yeah, she just got lost. You ain't even hear that. They didn't even.
They put Renee Good over there with Black people.
Yeah, because she was not, she was white and she was LGBT. And she was LGBT. So, they just.
I didn't even thought about that. So
yeah.
Oh, please. She's really out.
They threw her to the wolves.
Yeah, she's out. But after Alex Pretty was killed, there are people who I was going to their page like, oh, I know the so-and-so, the so-and-so, the so-and-so, the so-and-so, which are friends and people who I respect and love, and people who I have watched speak out big time on racism, sexism, authoritarianism. They might not use the words fascism, but they talk about this administration. They were advocates against Donald Trump. Maybe they supported Kamala. Maybe they didn't even talk too much about Kamala, but they have sounded the alarm around state-sanctioned violence and all this stuff. Again, they may not have said it. I'm with Cardi. May not have used the right language, or not the right language, but the language of the movement, or the whatever, the most, the biggest words. But that's what they were talking about. And that went on for years and years and years. So I'm popping people's pages open like, oh, I knew, because now, even if you were afraid to speak on Keith Porter because whatever, even if the white woman, the card made you, but I know you're going to say something about this, and they haven't. It is eerily silent from some of those individuals who
will always lie,
have been loud and clear about where they stand. It is eerily silent. It is almost so silent that it's screaming, screeching loud. How many people have completely silenced themselves, or they have been silenced, and they're not saying a word? And it came to me that Lizzo is right. Some of us consider the silence to maybe be about fear. Maybe your finances ain't right, or a deal you're working on, or you got management people and others around you who are like just stirring up all of this fear in you that you can't because, and you don't want to be a target.
Mm-hmm.
So most of us think that that's probably the cause. It's a lot of cowardice, a lot of, as we would say, PUSSY, right? That's the way we see it. But Lizzo made me think it might not be that. It might be that the very people who you expect to speak out are actually Trump supporters.
Yeah, and that's I found that out. The thing is this: a lot of them was just in the and you can tell daily now, right? Because what happens is you'll see somebody post something, and then you'll just see one line from them, or you'll see them like stuff, and then you'll see them underneath like pro-Trump or anti. Because the thing is, what they won't do is they won't be pro-Trump. They'll be anti-Kamala, or you'll see them post something about, well, when Obama did this, nobody said nothing. Now with Trump, and then they'll be under there like, that's what I'm saying. Like you just see, they just silently start doing stuff like that. And then what happens is when they get bold enough, then they'll start posting little stuff on their page. And then they just get bold because now they found their community, they got a voice, because they were silently with that. They were silently in their little silos doing it. But now when they start feeling like there's a community for it, like I watched somebody on a page, a girl that I knew for years, cool, and a dude was posting something about, yes, Nicki Minaj is with Trump. That's what I'm talking about. I'm glad she with Trump. And the girl put 100 fire emojis under the picture. And I'm like, what? Like, and then I just wrote under there, shake my head, and she sent me a message, yo, call me, DM me. I didn't even, because nothing to talk about. We ain't got nothing to talk about. You already, I know what's going on there. Nah, you don't got to try to tell me what it is, and it's not that. It is what it is, and I'm okay with it. You know what I'm saying? And that's just where we are. And we just have to understand who people. I'm just glad to know that's who you are. Cool. Because I know the thing is, what people don't understand about certain choices and levels of integrity and character about what you support, it shows up later. Right? Because you might be friends with somebody and you never was really in any situation where they had to choose, or you had to see where their integrity or their character actually had to show up. in that manner. Like you might just have somebody that y'all like sports together and y'all go to the games, or somebody you have listen to music together, you hang out, you know, they cool, you hang out with them. Y'all don't talk about anything that has to do with life. But when a real life situation actually occurs, that situation will show you that that person was that all along. And it'd be too late. And you don't know that when you're young. You just don't realize that a mother always was able to tell you, look, stay away from that boy because that boy is that way. And that's the discernment that I have now. So when I watch the way that y'all support somebody like Trump and just watch even what it is that you support him in, it just shows me that in certain situations, you might be detrimental to my survival.
Yeah. And but you know what, my son? Everything you just said, and there is a web that is almost cultish where there were people who that's not who they were. George Floyd, you know, Trayvon Martin, we can go backwards.
Because it wasn't trendy.
Well, no, I mean, I believe them. I'm not even, you're right that could have been the case, but I believe them that they were where they were. But they have crossed over because they start listening to those talking points and that propaganda machine. It sucks
over and over. I'm
in.
telling you, it's
almost
really
like a vacuum, because I've watched people that I'm like, what are you saying? Like the paid protesters. I have friends who use that language now in conversation with me. They use that language with me. I was having a conversation with a friend of mine who is not a Trump supporter, who's a dear friend and awesome, because they will know that I'm talking about them. But I just want to say this. This is me. Don't need to be no free buses. Don't need to be no free buses. But then they said, because I was on a bus and I almost got stabbed by a person. Then they said, and Johnny was on the bus and got robbed. And then Sarah was on the bus and was spit on, and Pookie was pissed on. And they said, so it can't be no free buses. I said, so what you telling me is that all those people paid their fare and that shit still happened. All of the scenarios that you laid out still happen with the fare.
Yeah, exactly.
So
exactly. So
maybe, hey, you might make it free and include mental health expert, because clearly the money is not the thing.
It's not.
That is protecting you from violence. So, but just to sum it up, my thought of the day today is that as we analyze and watch closely for people who have been advocates at one point or another for the fight for justice and for fairness and for equity, and we watch them disappear from this conversation and not speak at a time that you would think they would use their mega platforms to be a part of the dialogue, to educate and to advocate.
But the thing is, Tamika, and that's what I'm saying, people like convenience, right? And when we talk about civil rights leaders, right? Our civil rights leaders, we talk about how many times, even Al Sharpton, and they try to throw Al under the bus and all of this. Al Sharpton went to jail a lot of times. Al Sharpton was stabbed.
He's in jail for protesting.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Stabbed damn near to death.
Exactly. Martin Luther King went to jail over 50 something. Like people actually there was real sacrifice. You understand what I'm saying? So we have been pampered in a time where civil rights was trendy. Even though it was a lot of people that actually did things, there weren't people that really were making much sacrifice. They were able to make a speech, they were able to go to a rally, and they were able to, figure out how to navigate. It was not really much. Right now, when you are anti this government, there are going to be very real consequences.
Oh, yeah. And we experience them.
This is what I'm saying. And we understand that. And it's people like us that understand that, and we're prepared for that, because we actually had to do some of those things with Breonna Taylor and during the George Floyd. We actually experienced it. So we actually had to do those things. But the average person who you thought was loud and this and that, they never really did that. They did some social media. They did it convenient. They was able to say real strong things but they never really understood what it was like to be on the front line with tear gas and be surrounded by Trumpers with guns in their hands saying, where you going? And have to
Or the ones
protect
that say
women.
all lives matter, because
All
those
lives matter with guns in their hands surrounding us. And I had to protect and say, nobody's doing nothing to the females and get in front of them. And we had to go chest to, like, they never had to deal with that. They never had the sense of their life not being there. And in
but my
this moment,
son, you are still not speaking to what I'm talking about. You're speaking to the fear aspect.
yeah.
And I'm saying the majority of, or the general consensus of thought is that those individuals who are saying less or not saying anything at all are dealing with fear for various reasons. What I might lose, how I could get harmed, hurt, this, that, and the third. And that is a bucket. I'm saying my thought of the day today is focused on some of the people as we analyze their disappearance,
They
their
just with
exit.
Trump. They with Trump.
What I'm saying of my thought of the day today is that as we analyze people who have exited the chat, and we're trying to figure out with a million videos of where the celebrities and the influencers and the people with big profiles and platforms, where are they to speak out on these issues and to use their platform to stand with those of us who are actively in resistance. You thinking it might be fear, and I'm telling you that I am now beginning to understand Lizzo's point that they might be Trump supporters. They may have voted for Donald Trump, and they may still be waiting to see how his policies will impact them and allow them to either get richer and or hold on to the wealth that they currently have.
Sounds about right to me. You know, I never really thought about that, but it definitely sounds like that might be the situation, because a lot of people that I never knew were Trump supporters just come out the wing, and now they just said, well, you know, maybe it's not that. Maybe this. And well, nobody said this when Obama and Joe Biden didn't do this. Sleepy Joe Biden and Kamala was laughing too much. And this, and it's like, wow, where did all this come from? You know what I'm saying? Because now you can parrot the popular and the algorithm, and they feel like since the algorithm shows them so much that they in the majority. And you might be right, but as time goes on, it'll reveal itself.
Absolutely.
Now let's go to our interview.
Okay, so listen, family. You know, I don't even know where to begin. Mm-hmm. It's interesting that when federal agents started following Don Lemon last week, it's been, you know, all the days seem to be running together. There was one person who was on the phone calling everybody who needed to know. This was happening in New York, and calling everybody who needed to know, saying, pay attention, be ready. They're messing with Don. This is going to get more intense. No matter what happens today or tomorrow, these people are not going to leave him alone. And it was Monique Pressley, who was our guest today. I just want to say, for the record, that this is the same woman who was there every single day with our sister, Marilyn Mosby, as she was experiencing what, I don't know, just an injustice after being the Baltimore State's attorney and prosecuting officers around the murder of Freddie Gray. The retaliation was to come after her for some mortgage thing that ended up being all about a piece of land, about nothing. And Monique Pressley, again, was making every phone call possible to everybody to say, we need people to get in, do what you need to do. And so if I'm in trouble, my son and the world, which I have been, and she's also made phone calls, but if I'm in any trouble and the law is involved, please go get Monique Pressley. Don't worry about it. Just call her and she will make every phone call, show up, fight, and do everything. And so I just want to say thank you, Monique, for that. And if you don't know, You should be following Monique. She is the host of the Monique Pressley Show on YouTube, but she is a legal analyst and expert who's on shows across networks, and just a big sister, friend, and also an advisor to attorney Ben Crump, which is a major role that she plays, and our friend. And so
That's right.
Thank you and welcome to the TMI show tonight, because somebody got to tell the people what's going on.
It's so good to be back with you guys. And even as you say that, it's funny because it wasn't until you said it that I realized how many times I do think that you need a spirit of discernment in this work. And I know that you have it, my son. I know that you have it, Tamika. And sometimes things will happen. You'll be like, yeah, that's all right. Let's wait. Let's not go. And sometimes things will happen and something in you will be like, oh, no. Mm-hmm. Everybody needs to know right now. I don't know what's going to happen. But when I tell you, when I sent you that message, I had texted former White House people who, and it all today made sense because everybody started working because I had given everybody an on-ramp. I'm like, I've been told y'all for 2 weeks, this was about to be really bad. Like,
but for Don.
Yes. Because I knew when I knew, I was like, oh no, they won't let this go. And when he told, because with crisis managers, if something happens and a client or whoever says, well, this happened, or I just said this, or this bad negative thing, crisis manager book is, we're going to wait that 24 hours. We're going to see if the story starts dissipating and things start de-escalating, or if things are ramping up. And we're looking at the data. We're looking at social media. We're looking at who's commenting, what kind of check marks they have. We're just looking like, I don't know if this is a crisis. I don't even know if this is going to be a crisis. And so I was waiting that 24 hours on Don from when he noticed that people were outside. From when they had been in the church, and then when a little over 24 hours later he called me and said they had followed him to dinner, I was like, oh, okay, no, we're there.
Crisis.
Yeah, it might not happen tonight, but they intend to do something, because you don't send unmarked cars, plainclothes agents following people at their homes, and multiple people who were there had told me that they were being surveilled in that manner. So I'm like, okay, they have what we call drop the net, and they got eyes on everybody. And that means we now have to get information. And so that's when I started texting. Steve Benjamin and them, Angela Ryan and them, Tamika and them, Mignon and them, everybody who I knew would, if they heard from me, say, okay, Monique's not nuts. She doesn't sound the alarm every other day, but this is a thing.
Right.
And so then when the justice system said no, the magistrate said, I'm not doing the warrant. The chief judge said, I'm backing the magistrate. The appellate court said, y'all are dumb. This is not an emergency. We could breathe for a little while. But I was on Don's show 3 times in this past week. And one time, Don asked, Charles Coleman and I were on there, and somebody was like, well, I'm just glad we got past this and they see the error of their ways. And I was like, no, they don't. Don knew, I knew, but Charles and I together said, no, they have one more play. And the grand jury can indict a ham sandwich.
Right.
They didn't want to go that route because they know that whatever evidence they have or don't have is the strength of their case when they go in court. It would be so much better if a judge was willing to verify and say, we looked at your charges and I, being a federal court magistrate, say that there's probable cause, but the federal magistrates were not willing to do that. So they go to a jury and the level of proof is lower. And the prosecutor goes in there and the defendant can't be in there. The defendant's lawyer can't be in there because if the defendant isn't testifying, then the defendant's lawyer can't be in there. We have no idea whoever they paid to go into that grand jury, what they said. They said whatever they needed to say in order to get that indictment. And it will never be known. It doesn't enter into evidence. It's a closed, siloed part of a proceeding.
So what do you think happens next?
It's going to court. It's not going to go to trial necessarily. They're going to have an initial, for criminal cases, discovery is a little faster.
One second. So, what exactly are his charges? So for those who don't know.
So he was charged. Well, the 4 today were charged with the same charges as the prior people who were charged. And that's 18 USC 241 and 18 USC 248. 18 USC 241 is the FACE Act, and it is the body of legislation that prevents intimidation in areas like abortion clinics, where you can't prevent people from being able to access that care. Never mind that this administration does not enforce that at all.
I've never even heard that.
Where what it is written for is supposed to be enforced. Prior administrations, yes. But this legislation dates back to, I think, Senator Ted Kennedy. And one of the ways that they got it across the finish line was by including churches. So it was that you can't prevent access or enjoyment, exercise of your rights to be in a church service uninterrupted. Exercise of your rights to be at an abortion clinic, to access and go into an abortion clinic, because there were protesters who used to be blocking women where they couldn't go in, right? 18 USC 248 is the historical KKK Act. It's the act that was written in order to prevent intimidation by the Klan. And that's what they have used to charge 2 independent journalists, Black man and Black woman. They have used the FACE Act, which is for abortion clinics, and they have used the KKK Act that was written to keep the Klan from intimidating people in public spaces. That's where they are.
We know for sure that Don was not a protester. He wasn't involved in organizing or being with the protesters.
Nor was Georgia.
And that does not mean, because I haven't heard him say that, he doesn't support the movement or any of that. So let's not, because I don't want people to start making a distinction that.
But it doesn't mean he does either.
It doesn't mean he does or he doesn't. Exactly. It doesn't mean he does or he doesn't. This is not about whatever his feelings may be, because we can't prosecute on feelings, right? This has to be based upon fact. And the fact is, he was not a part of the actual protest. He went in to get reaction from many people about what was happening, all the things, the church.
I don't know if he even went in to get reaction. I think he went in to cover it as it was happening. He went in to document it. He went in with his cameras, with his people who were there, and they covered what was happening. And he said over and over again, I'm not with the protesters. I am observing. I am recording. I'm live right now, and I'm asking for reaction. So he interviewed
but let me ask you,
protesters and clergy.
That's what I want to say, because he was talking to a white man who had a microphone ear to mouth. And I want to know, is that the pastor or somebody from the church? Because I don't think the protesters had a microphone ear to mouth speaking inside the church. So I think that is him also interviewing as a journalist the people who were in worship, who were talking to him. From what I could see, they didn't seem to be threatened. They weren't saying, get out, get out.
They never asked him to leave. And yes, it was not David Eastwood, who was the one who is the regional director of ICE, who the lead pastor, the reason why they chose the pop-up people, the reason why they chose that place was because it is pastored by someone whose day job is regional director of ICE.
Right.
And so their thought was, here's this man saying he loves God, loves people, but he's part of responsible for why we're out here, why people have dying. It was only Renee, not Renee and Nurse Pretty at that point, but why people were being injured, why people were being snatched. They were saying, this is a joke. That's not who you are. But he either was not there by the time they went in, or he scurried along by the time they went in. And so it was the minister who was up and having the service who took the time to be interviewed by Don and did not ask Don to leave, nor his camera to leave, but instead engaged in this interview. It's hard to trespass when nobody tells you you're trespassing, especially when it's a public place like a church.
Exactly.
Right.
That's the main thing I was saying. Because I don't know the legal, I don't know the legal jargon or just the law around it, but I know that churches, people usually walk into the church all the time. You're able to walk in and you can talk to the pastors, you can have conversations, you can do that. So I don't know if that would be even considered trespassing.
No, churches are public spaces, and this is one. Churches are public places on private property. And in the law, even though the property is private, anybody is welcome in the church. That's how a man could walk into a church and kill an Emmanuel 9, because we let everybody come in, right? Nobody brings that up right now, because this offense where there was no violence whatsoever is so heinous, but other dudes get Burger King, right? So yes, anybody can come in. Now, at the point that you disrupt the service,
right,
that's civil disobedience.
And that has its own consequences, and you get to fight and be heard in court, and a jury of your peers, if it gets to that point, make a decision of whether they feel it was criminal intent.
But it's not the FACE Act. It's not in KKK, right? I don't understand.
It's not the KKK Act. I don't know if it's the FACE Act or not. I'm gonna be a lawyer for real with y'all, so that means I'm not gonna pull any punches. I don't know. Those protesters might end up facing some consequences that nobody else would, because this administration doesn't mind targeting people. And if they can find a way to make it as serious as humanly possible, LaMonica MacGyver, right? Tim James, right? James Comey, Fonnie Willis, whomever, right? Jerome Powell. If they can figure out a way to change a misdemeanor to a felony, they're gonna do it.
Every time.
And so that's part of what we, as people who consider ourselves in any way in the movement, in any way organizers, in any way activists, we have to now know, if we decide we're going outdoors,
right?
Outdoors means if I get arrested this time, it might not be enough to just make sure Monique has her orange vest on and has our bail money.
Exactly.
Because they might wait to arrest me on a Friday in the hopes that they can keep me till a Monday, because they know that that's the only way that they'll get any jail time out of me at all, because that's the way this administration functions. And so I can't say whether this was or was not a violation of the FACE Act. What I can say, though, is it is disproportionately applied. Right. It is not enforced across the board. They are targeting different groups and then not enforcing with others. All you got to do is look at January 6th.
Well, wait, January 6th, you going back into the archives. Let's talk about 3 weeks ago at Jamal Bryant's church, where the white man walks in there.
They don't care.
He looked like the KKK, by the way. He looked like in the movies that you watch from 1960, when the Grand Wizard was meeting with the men, the older men with the beard and the thing. That's what he looked like. I mean, period. And
that's a fact.
I haven't even heard at all. I haven't heard anything. And when I say haven't heard anything about this man walking around in Jamal Bryant's church, having to be escorted out, screaming, causing a disruption, could say he was blocking an entrance because he was standing in front of a door that people use to go in and out of the sanctuary from the hallway.
And it was him and his wife or something, wasn't it? But even after Dr. Bryant posted about it, it's still nothing. And he even said, okay, if there's no such thing as a black church or a white church, then why? And he gave the picture. Why haven't you found, you know,
this man and whoever his accomplice was? And so I'm, you know, because sometimes I worry that people, it's so much going on that our folks, let's not say our, because one thing we're not going to do is put this squarely on black people or any folks can't keep up with all the moving pieces.
That's right?
So you will hear people say, well, maybe they shouldn't have, and maybe Don shouldn't, and this and that. And what we're saying is you can, or at least what I'm saying, you can have your opinion, whether you believe a protest should or should not happen in a church, and therefore you don't have to engage, right? Because that's your decision. You could be a journalist who says, I don't go that deep into the belly. I'm going to stay on the peripheral across the street, down the block, and catch the people when they go to the restroom at the McDonald's after they finish protesting, you know, down the block. Don Lemon ain't that. He always has been the guy who crawls into the crevices to get the real, true story. That's always been him. So that's what he was doing. So you can argue all of that. But what you can't argue, and that is what I feel like is our fight, is again, the hypocrisy that exists in how they deal with the law and or not. And in this case, we see clearly that there was a man who went in and disrupted a service who has not been named. I don't know that has he been named that you know?
No.
Nope, never seen him since.
And nobody is trying to find him.
Nobody is trying to find him. I think because we're used to that, right? We're used to disruption. We're used to having to move past it. We like, okay, he yelling and screaming. We don't care. No, he ain't, you know, we on point. We watching him because we making sure that he's not a physical threat, so people are paying attention. But at the end of the day, we're used to people having their opinions, and we allow you to voice your opinions. As long as you don't put your hands on us and you don't do that, you can say whatever you want. But I think this administration, this time that we're in, everything that we do is going to be targeted. And I heard a little bit of Don talking about how this is how, you know, authoritarians start. They eliminate the media. You know, once they eliminate the media and nobody's able to tell the story properly, then the world believes everything that they get from, you know, the administration.
Yeah. And I said, Monique, I want you to react to this. And I said it, and I was like, man, I can't really say this publicly because people are going to like lose it and not understand the context of what I'm attempting to explain. But I think it is worth saying that the killings of all the people who have been named that have been killed or harmed by ICE and law enforcement in general, and of course, Keith Porter, Renee Good, and Alex Pretty, and these situations are severe. I mean, they're like critical, code red, state of emergency, 100%. But the arrest of the journalist, to me, rises to another level, right? And you see what I'm saying about why I'm careful with
I get it. I get it.
I don't want people to take out of context what I'm saying, that I'm like, oh, those, you know, the shooting, killing, abuse of people is not as important. I'm just saying, when you understand history and you see the arrest of journalists, it is telling you a different story, because we've always killed, harmed, abused people who were participating in resistance. That is, and or just everyday people. That's an American. That's as American as apple pie, right? But when we start arresting and charging journalists for covering the story, we are entering fascism on steroids. And it means that we're getting closer to the fulfillment of the Project 2025 authoritarianism plan. Do you agree, or do you feel like maybe I'm going too far?
Not far enough. State-sanctioned violence, state-sanctioned murder is this country's origin story. And it is our story still. So it's not a George Floyd story. It's not a Sonia Massey story. It's not a Botham Jean story. It's not a Breonna story. That's not what it is. State-sanctioned killing is a calling card of federal government here. The difference where that is concerned in the past weeks is, oh, but white people too.
Right.
Because ICE don't care what color you are. Now ICE cares what side you're on, because the thuggery and the goonishness of it is all pro-Trump, they stuck us on these streets and they incentivize us with money per collar.
Right.
In a way that when I first started doing police misconduct cases, like that's the bad old days. And we're back there again, except for with them having little to no training. And when I say no training, I don't just mean they don't have a stun gun. They don't know how to use a baton. They don't understand what a traffic stop is. They don't know how to restrain and collar a suspect. They don't even know how to do things that are now illegal, like putting somebody prone and hog tying them. They can't even do it halfway wrong, the way people used to die sometimes. They only have these guns. So that's them. That's the state-sanctioned violence part of it, right? But you are right, because that has always been with us, except for now it's white people. What we have that is worse than that is state policy. Because when you go after these journalists, it's not on the street, some thug got mad and pulled their weapon and killed somebody and then clapped.
Yeah.
That's bad. That's horrible. But we have seen that. And God knows how many times the cameras weren't there for us to see it. This, though, is we want to prosecute them. We will deliver warrants. We will spend tax dollars. We will pursue them with the full weight of the federal government, of the Department of Justice, of Homeland Security, of the Civil Rights Division, of the Presidency of the United States. And when it doesn't work, we'll keep going until we get them. We will make public statements. We will show mugshots. That is different in every possible way, because it is turning the awesome power of one of the most fierce, supposedly, countries in the world, of our enforcement division. That's what Department of Justice is. That's our law and order people. They're turning it on 10 people who went in a church.
Can I ask you about this ballot situation?
The bribes?
Yes.
The bribes?
So what's going on with that, and what is the whole legal ramifications behind that?
Wait, which ballot situation, my son?
In Atlanta, where they just raided.
Okay. See, here's how.
So there's so many different things. You confused, like which one?
Right, because they're all together.
Okay.
Because the real goal of ICE, the real goal of this persecution, the real goal of Pam Bondi sending a letter to Governor Walz and saying, oh, okay, we'll withdraw if you turn over your voter rolls. And you too, Arizona, and you too, Michigan, if you just give us the rolls, because we know you have people on the rolls who aren't supposed to be on the rolls, give us the rolls and we'll exit. That's connected to Fulton County, where the crazy man who's in the White House has to prove that in 2020 he didn't really lose the election. He went to Davos, the debacle in Davos last week, and said it was a rigged election. Everybody knows it was a rigged election. They know now. And people are going to start being prosecuted. People are going to start to pay consequences.
And persecuted.
And so after he says that, then the next week, here they go, going to where they keep the paper ballots, as if going in and collecting them is going to change the multiple times, the recounts, the court orders, the judge's decisions, 60 plus cases across this country. Yeah. And 3 independent investigations, and nope, 2020 is still yo ass lost. You lost. So it's all tied, and it's not necessarily tied to prove he won. That's his mind. It's really tied to elections are unstable. Elections are not valid. Right. Elections can't be trusted. So why would we have one in November?
Exactly. That's where they're leading. Is it legal for Pam Bondi to include language in a letter about ICE saying, but if you give us the voting rolls, then listen.
It's just so unprecedented and retarded. Not retarded. I would like to say crazy.
Yeah.
A judge called it extortion, and a bribery attempt. And
we are not immune to or new to or shocked by corruption. We've been watching corruption play out forever and ever and ever on so many levels, local government, local police force. This is not, but it's like, huh? You know what I mean? That's the only thing I can say. What you say, you put it in a letter
to say, you
pay us out loud.
But that's this administration. They bribing everything. They telling everybody pay to play.
But
this is the pay to play administration.
They're lawless, and the Supreme Court has taken all restraints off. I did a segment for my show last week called "The Emperor Has No Clothes," and I really meant it in that it's not his nakedness that's the problem. It's that there's nobody in the circle.
Just say that you don't got no clothes on, bro.
He don't have nothing on. Like, it was a kid in the story that said
the emperor's naked, man.
He don't have nothing on, and they're around him and fearful and power grabbing and not wanting to be exposed, and he is so very naked that Prime Minister Canada, Germany, everybody is like, oh my God, no. But to your point, no, I don't think it's gone. But for Nixon, and then that was a specific circumstance. It wasn't across the board. We are seeing Project 2025 work its way through the entirety of our executive branch, and with an assist by Congress, not because they're helping, but because they are spineless and they will not prevent any of it. And that is why Trump knows, if we lose in November, they're going to hamstring me, they're going to impeach me, they're going to finish me. And not just him, the GOP. That's what I said day before yesterday now on Don's show. I said, it'll be the death of the GOP. If we handle November right, they might not ever win anything again, because the masses in America know.
Yeah.
Right.
The masses in America know how unreliable they are. It's just a question of us having a chance to vote.
It's not even unreliable at this point. It's danger. It's serious levels of danger. The unreliability, like, we always knew that. I think most people knew, and they said, all right, even if it's unreliable, I'm gonna be able. But right now, the danger that we live in, the constant fear, just watching the economy, just watching this, the administration just target people. Like, they have done nothing right for America in the last year. Like, just, it's for real. It's not even like trying to be funny. It's just like there's nothing been done right. But I want to ask you a question. Do you know how Georgia Ford is doing? I was watching her live early, and it made me really sad, like hearing her kids in the background crying as she was going to get arrested. I was like, this has to be traumatized. It has to be in a young kid, knowing that feds is looking for your mother. She's a journalist. She's like, you can just tell that it was a lot going on in that moment.
Mhm.
Yeah, and she's safe. I mean, she's out. She's
Okay.
safe. I have not talked to her yet. She was on my show a couple of days ago. And it was really, let me think what I can say. It was very difficult, Tamika, especially you have been just in places where our sister Angela Rye and I were working on things.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because she and I are both
Scorpio.
and born on October 26th, both of us, close to a decade apart. But, and we'll battle it out until we figure it out. And then there's always love, but then there's some things that just break your heart. Just break it. And this for me with Georgia has been one of those things where I'm looking at a woman who is strong and brave and powerful and standing on her own 2 feet. And she has a supportive husband. She's got a family. She's got children, but she's out there making her mark in the world, right? An Emmy Award winning journalist. And to hear her just on her public lives and then talking to us personally and saying, I wanted to go downtown and cover something, but I didn't think it was safe. I'm being followed. There's masked people. There's unrest. I didn't even trust being able to go into a hotel and look out the window. What they're hoping to accomplish, and it's always Black women, right? Where they're doing the most that they could possibly do to us, and they use us as like the first step, the first frontier. If we can get away with it with the Black women and then with the Black men, oh, maybe a white woman too. Oh, maybe a white man. And so this administration is inching, but she has so much of a moral compass about her and so much integrity about her work. And she posted a video when she was getting out, when she was released. And thankfully, she was released on her own recognizance and did not have to pay a bond. But I'm sure she's going to need support because this is just the beginning. The fact that they don't have to stay in jail doesn't mean that these charges are dropped.
Yeah.
So you got to get counsel. And
it's interesting because the courts seem like they're like, why are y'all bothering us with this? Like, let's let these people out of here. Like, it's not even a situation where you see the courts being overzealous to say you got to have bond. And, they're even like, I don't even know why we're because I don't believe. Now, depends on who your final judge is, your real, your judge who's presiding.
Yeah.
But I don't believe that there's even a case as big as a piece of land. Seriously. So it's like a waste of people's time. But, and it's a disruption of, to your point about the breaking your heart, it's a disruption of folks' nervous system. Because this, and to my son's point, her children, her family, that's crazy. I've been there. I've been in my house, and at 6:00 in the morning, federal agents come to my house, ring the doorbell, wake up everybody in the house, and we're all sitting on the couch in the living room while they ask questions about taxes and payroll and stuff that they could have called and asked us to come downtown to discuss, or could have called us on the telephone to get the answers to, but they're at my house at 6:00 in the morning.
Yes, intimidation.
And they executed this on multiple staff members at the same time.
That's right.
So multiple families were impacted, and my son may have been 8 or 9 years old, who's now out of his bed, scared that what is happening to my mother. So that's a disruption. But the other disruption is that as this is happening, right? As this is in progress, we're getting live reports on some of our channels about what's happening to Georgia. And I'm in the airport sobbing, literally sobbing, traveling from one city to the next. My hands are sweating. I'm trying not to let people look at, they know me. I'm in the airport. People are like, hey, oh my God. And I'm in the airport like, my nervous system. It's too much.
It's trauma.
Exactly what they want, because
that's the whole thing.
Yes.
Because if they can traumatize you,
at least we could do that.
And once they traumatize you, then they say she's going to be quiet. She's not going to go out there. Don Lemon
got me fucked up
with his camera. Georgia's going to stay home because she has seen the risk and she's not willing to deal with the risk, and that's the whole strategy.
Did y'all see the graphic that the White House put out?
Yes.
John got arrested.
Yeah. Before you talk about that, why did the DEA go to her house? I'm trying to understand how the DEA gets involved in executing a warrant of this nature. All of this seems so like it's political theater, as you would say.
There are no more rules. There are not lines. There are not departments. There are not boundaries. If they can't get their own agents to do something, if they can't probably get the local, because normally if you have to effectuate a warrant, then you're going to call the local or state police department, and they're going to do it for you because it's somebody who's in your area. But what if they say no? So then you got to find some federales who answer to you, and maybe you can't pick ICE because ICE is already in trouble. So you got to go with what you got because you're trying to, again, theater, do it all at the same time. And you know that you are doing West Coast time for maximum impact to arrest Don Lemon coming back from an event. And you want to do these arrests at the same time. And it all was very much coordinated in that way. Like my phone was ringing, my text was going off, my signal, everything was going at the same time, which is why I'm saying to the nervous system, to your point, Tamika.
Yeah.
I love that song. Whose song is it the biggest, the largest? What they do, what they did here especially, and what they do is they go after somebody big to say nobody is untouchable. And then they go after your heart to say, we don't care. We're not making any exceptions. We don't care that she's a mother. We don't care that we know she's a journalist. We don't care she's an ABJ right now, vice president of the local chapter. She ain't out here pretending to be a journalist. We know, and we don't care because we are going to reach out and touch you because it's supposed to make you afraid. What I have to say, though, is for the 8 hours that I did on the Don Lemon channel today, we had 25,000 or more people tuned in consistently. That's cable. That's better than cable news numbers. God knows what it is right now. People are not with it.
Yeah.
People are not having it. Whatever the bridge too far is over. We over it.
Yeah.
We over it now. Now, is it too late? There are things we're not going to ever recover. And you know, I'm not this person. I'm the eternal optimist. Oh, there are things we're not getting back. This country is forever different, especially for Black and brown people.
Well, some of the things we're not going to get back, I'm going to be honest with you, are relationships, because there are people that can't ever in their life talk to me again. And I'm gonna tell you why. It makes me emotional. Like I really want to cry getting this out because they're real relationships. I'm talking about people I love. But you're putting my particular life in danger because what people don't understand, when I watched that man run up to Ilhan Omar, Representative Ilhan Omar, and spray whatever he did. By the way, today it was nothing but a liquid or water or whatever. But in 3 years,
we don't know.
When God knock on everything and please the Lord, don't let my words come true. But when she and other people who were close to it start having respiratory issues and some other shit, and you find out it was odorless, colorless, something that all you need to do is spray it in a room.
That's right. That's right.
You know what I'm saying? This shit is serious. And for me, I every single day I have to make decisions. I'm telling you, my mentor called me today. The Honorable Marion Barry's widow, Cora Masters Berry, and she was sobbing like, I don't want you going to this place and that place because I'm worried. And it's unfortunate that I could not say back to her, Mo and Mysonne, I won't go. I couldn't say that because I don't know what I may feel called to do and when. And every time I step outside, even when I am not in active resistance, the fact that I woke up in the morning is a threat.
Active resistance.
It's active resistance. That we're on here giving people information that flies in the face of the lies that they're trying to tell everyone is active resistance. And so I have to tell people often, family members and friends, I'm frustrated, I'm aggravated, sometimes I feel rage, I feel this thing, but I am not suicidal. I have nothing. I am not using drugs anymore. I don't use drugs, don't want it. I don't have a taste for it. If you find me somewhere,
that's right,
with 20 pills in my body, I'm telling you today that I did not take it, that it has been planted or whatever, whatever words you use to say that someone has infused my body with it. That's what happened, because I have no suicidal thoughts. In my personal life, I'm actually very happy, very much fulfilled with love and family, my granddaughter, my son, everybody. But every day I have to tell people that, because they will make the case based upon things that you have shared or words you may say. If you write on social media, I'm overwhelmed. The next thing you know, it is a part of a case that you done been killed somewhere, and they saying she said she was overwhelmed. So you gotta, if you can say you're overwhelmed, but you also have to follow that up with, but I am not suicidal. This is some serious shit. So if you voted for this, I can't have anything to do with you. I can't. It has to be a boundary. I gotta cut it somewhere. If you didn't vote at all, we gotta work on this. Cause this.
Oh, are you working with the didn't vote?
Yeah, I'm working with the didn't vote. I gotta do that. I gotta work with the didn't vote.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, I don't. This was gonna be my I don't get it, but yeah, I don't have any interest in dealing with anybody that deals with Trump. Like, I made up my mind. I tried to have cordial conversations and dialogue, and I'm at the place that I realize we just have two different moral compasses, and I don't want to even engage with people that disturb my peace. And you might have been somebody that I love for years, but I realized we've come to a crossroad to where we no longer have the same value system. Because anytime that you support somebody who I think is one of the worst human beings in the world, just not even based on presidency, it's not about party, it's not about Republican. Like, you could have voted for some Republicans, we might have a dialogue. I might not agree this and that. But if you support Donald Trump, then it shows what your character is.
I don't agree.
I believe that you have a flawed character.
I don't agree.
I believe that. That's just my personal opinion.
I know. And I'm not saying this because I'm saying I F with them, but here's what I'll say, because unfortunately I know too many people who are like this. I have no idea. I don't know, maybe you guys do, but I have no idea what the challenges are that the people in Alaska face on a daily basis. I don't know people who live there. I know a couple of few people who are from there, but not who live there. And the way everything is, like with the sun and the daytime all day, and you got to put the shades down in order to get sleep to create night and day and all of that. I don't identify with any of it, the way that they fish for food or any of it, or even that poor idiot child who could have been our vice president who said, you can see Russia right over there. You can see it. I mean, like, I didn't understand any of what they were talking about. And so their enemies would not automatically be my enemies because I'm ignorant. Now, I'm willfully ignorant because it's not that hard for me to figure out what's going on with them. Like, Google is your friend. I could go there if I wanted to. I could know more people from there if I wanted to. Same with whether it's Norway or whether it's Sweden or whether it's Bangkok or whether it's Beijing. My level of information is cursory. Like, it's very surface level. And so things that I watch people protesting things all over the globe that I don't personally identify with. And it is not that I don't want them to win. And it's not that I want them to be persecuted, because that's just not me. Anybody, anywhere who's being mistreated, shit, I'm on your side. But sometimes I don't know your side. And because I don't know your side, I don't care your side. Because I
think,
side.
And I'm not saying you wrong.
Huh?
I think what I'm saying is,
no, but I'm saying
if you're that disconnected from
the United States who are exactly like that. They are ignorant. They're not. They don't have knowledge. They don't have Black experience. They don't have Black community. They are not aware of history. They are living their own lives. And sometimes when the information comes and they vote based on we tell people, vote your interest, vote your interest. I don't say that shit no more. I say, figure out everybody's interest, and then you better vote it. You better vote my kids' interest, Tamika and them's interest, my son and them's interest, not just your interest, because your interest is always covered. Your interest has been covered since the founding fathers. No, especially Texas. Don't vote like that. Don't vote George Bush's grandchildren's interests. Vote Lloyd Benson, Ann Richards, Sheila Jackson Lee, Barbara Jordan, Nikki Leland. Vote, if you gonna vote leaders, vote all us, all Monique Pressley. Vote all
vote
our
traded
interests.
truth. Vote traded truth interest. Yes.
Interest. And when I have talked to maggots. I have talked to Republicans. I've talked to conservatives. I've talked to Democrats, because white Democrats, it's the same crap. I'm trying not to cuss just because I'm trying to say things that children can listen to, but it's the same thing. They are so rooted in their own experience and ignorant to the experiences of others that they are voting their pockets. They're voting their religion. They're voting their principles. And they see a little
But that's
bit.
my point, though, Monique.
They
You
see,
say
well,
exactly
but
what
I
I'm
vote
saying.
my pockets, my religion, and my interests too.
And I understand that. And if you vote your pockets, your religion, and your interests, and it's Donald Trump, that means we have two different moral because if your pockets supersede morality to me, if your interests supersede a person who lacks any level of morality, the person who is the most disrespectful person, who violates everybody, who has no empathy, no connection, anything. If you have a level of connection to Donald Trump, then me and you don't really have anything in common, and it's cool. And it's
But
your
have
interest,
you been around?
and it's
Have
your
you
pockets.
been around senior citizens?
Yeah, I've been around senior citizens.
Because they watch the evening news, like that comes on either from 5 to 6 or 6 to 7, and they go to bed. And the young folks don't even watch that. And so a lot of times what I'm explaining to people about things that Trump said or things that he did, they're like, yeah? Or what? They're not even trying to explain it away. It's literal shock. Like, as a joke, I'm like, no, these are the things he said. 2:00 in the morning, how does he get any work done? Because these are people who work all day, feed their family, go to bed.
Well, what I'm trying to say, Monique, is I hear you. But those people have, with those people, right? they have to impose upon themselves the ability and the want to know, right? Because if you're making decisions and you don't know and it's hurting me, then you're a threat to me. It's like
That's
so
true.
you
Now,
gotta want to know. And if you don't want to know and you just making decisions that harm me, I don't want to be around you, or because you still dangerous to me. Because if you're the type of person that don't know shit and you going out there and you making life decisions that are threatening people's lives and you don't have a clue about nothing, I can't be around you. I don't want nothing to do with you.
but listen, y'all are 1-1. As the judge of this debate, it was 1-1 because Mo had me going down, and dude, you came back with that one right there. It's 1-1. But I think to sum it up, we talking about the homies that do.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. I'm not mad at them people over there that voted for Trump. I'm not mad is not the wrong word. That shouldn't even be using that.
Yeah, I don't really care because I'm not gonna be around you.
That doesn't. I'm talking about relationships. People who
Got your point.
know better.
But it don't even hurt me. I heard you, Tamika, but it may be, again, it's the Scorpio in me, but I done lost some people and I don't want them back. And
I don't want them back, man. I'm gonna tell you that.
And I don't care.
No, I care because Lord, I try.
Good luck.
I try, but anyway, I don't want to even go down that rabbit hole anymore. I just want to say, Monique, thank you. Thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for helping to make it plain. We're the same like you and Angela Rye, sister. We fight it out until we come to a place where both of us have a deeper understanding of issues. And that to me is very, very, very important, because I can hang up the phone with you and be like, I still am 10 toes down, but when I am speaking out in the world, I'm able to recognize other people's perspectives, and it makes me a stronger leader. And so these people who say we all think alike, and what do they try to say? We are
a monolith.
One group thought. No, actually, our groups don't do group thought. We fight, fuss, and go back and forth and push one another all the time. But where we all are aligned is that this is not a drill. This is not a joke. It's not a moment that is going to pass. We are deep into something that started a year ago, but it actually started even before that. And I wanted to do this one thing before, because I don't want you to leave. We were talking earlier about white people and how this is different because of white people. And I wanted to go back, and people should actually look this up so we don't have to belabor this show today. But they should go back and look at when Dr. King and John Lewis, God rest his soul, and all of the folks who, let me not get myself in trouble, were out there going across the Edmund Pettus Bridge in Selma, and in the midst of the civil rights struggle. We know that when we think about the time periods when the movement has been at its most critical and its most dangerous and the inflection point where we could go one way or the other, white people who have chosen to stand on the right side of history start getting killed. And it is a clear determination that we have crossed a bridge that we can't go back. So it doesn't mean that we've crossed the bridge and it's worse than ever. No, it's still all terrible, but we will never go back to what it was, because every time that happens, the world changes at that moment. And so what I want people to know is that my pastor often says it may be a uncomfortable, terrible, scary moment, but it is pregnant with possibility for what we can do if we all buckle down. Not all, because we'll never be all, but all that are in. If we buckle down,
all that are in,
and run the plays that fit our skill set and do what we're supposed to do in this moment. If we do that, we won't ever go back, but we can create whatever is to become, so that our children will not look back and say, well, what the hell did y'all do when they was, you know, shooting people in the face and doing all the things that's happening, stealing people's oil. I mean, it is so crazy. So I want folks to be left with that feeling of, well, wow, we're never going back. And the direction forward the moment is happening now, because we've watched we know from history, when the white folks start dying, we're on our way somewhere.
Yeah. And I'm remembering a couple of weeks ago, Tamika, we were talking, or maybe we were texting, but you know, I was in a space and just mad, and you were like, but white folks died too, Mo.
They did.
At that moment I was probably like, I don't care.
They did.
But I didn't mean it that way. But what you say about us doing what it is in our skill set to do, I appreciate you. I appreciate my son, Latasha Brown, has been just checking in regularly with me, because, you know, I have been, 2025 was a crash landing for me, and I've been experiencing just some hard days, some deep loss, but I was comforted in knowing not just that my brain still works, but it being proven true. That which you really are meant to do, you can do it better in adversity, because everything else strips off. You don't care nothing. Like I told you tonight, I'm like, yep, I'll come on, sweatshirt and all. It ain't matter. But I know that I can relay the facts that need to be said. I can talk to you about the things. I can explain the law, because this is my set. This is what I do.
Right.
And if everybody would get in that, just
posture, yeah.
And you know how you had it when it's a drum beat when you're in the pocket. And you're like, ooh.
It's a perfect song. Somebody's playing the drums. Somebody's playing the horn.
I don't know what y'all talking about.
It's music. It's music.
Did you feel it right then, Tamika?
It's music. It's music.
This show it's late night. This show went on.
We just went after dark right then, because I'm saying you can settle in that pocket, and it is where you belong. So everybody should find that spot.
Yeah, find that sweet spot. Well, we appreciate you, Monique.
Yeah.
Thank you for the work that you do. Thank you for being our friend. Thank you for being brilliant. Thank you for challenging us, getting pissed off with us sometimes. Sometimes I go on my DMs and you cussing me out, but you is always in love, and I appreciate that.
I love y'all. I love both of you. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, Monique. Have a good night. Thank you.
Good night. See you, Mo. Thank you.
Right in the pocket.
Bye.
Monique, you know, she has been right there with Don throughout this whole process. So I wanted her to come on and talk about it. I appreciate the fact that you brought up Georgia Fort, because, you know, we can't allow the sister who was part of those detained to be overlooked. And then there are others who clearly their names need to be stated. They need support. They probably need resources.
Really serious.
Yeah,
it's really serious, because I was on a call, you know, with folks from Minnesota, and just listening to the stories and the way that they're being feared, how they are being financially terrorized, how the stores, like some of the people can't even afford to pay their rent no more, because the ICE people have labeled them certain things. They got these podcasters that go outside of the stores where these people work, and now people are scared to go to the store. It's like it's a lot of things that they are dealing with inside Minnesota. So I want to just send some prayers out to them, you know, because it's really a lot. You know, and that brings me to my I don't get it. You know, we were talking about Trump and people who voted for Trump and friendships. And that was going to be my original I don't get it. You know, because I don't get why people don't understand that we can't be friends if you vote against my humanity. I don't even get, like, people make it seem like, oh, yo, just because we don't agree, we should still be able to be. No, it depends on what we don't agree upon. If you don't agree that a man dealing with a 12-year-old is raped, then we can't be friends, right? If you don't agree that a man telling on a man because he's scared to go to jail is bad, then we can't be friends, right? If you don't agree that a man who's the president should treat everybody like a human being, then we don't deserve to be friends. If you're trying to tell me that certain people deserve to be thrown and beat and shot and killed because you don't think they from this country and all of that, if you think that, there's no friendship path for me. So I don't understand why people don't understand that. Like, why do people make it into a big, oh, we can't be cool, it's all right, y'all come at people because they don't think. No, it's not that I come at you. I just don't want nothing to do with you. It's not that you don't think like I think. It's just that you don't think like I think that someone who has integrity would think, right? I don't want to be around anyone that lacks integrity. But that was my first thing. But I was having a conversation with a lot of guys, and it's always been this Republican and Democrat thing, Republican Democrat thing. Friends that I know, and they're the same people, and they don't do nothing for us, and this and that. I asked one of them a question. I said, well, you say that they the same people. Like, we've been working on the transition team with the mayor, Mondani, right? And we've worked with a lot of different government officials. We work with Jamani Williams. We work with Natasha. We work with Tish James. We've worked with Vanessa Gibson. Like, we work with people, right? We've been on the front lines with them. We've seen them advocating. There's actual times where you might be able to say, hey, we need these things for our community. These things are going wrong in our community. We're able to get on the phone with them. We're able to actually make things happen inside our community because we have these relationships and we've been on the front line and worked with these people. And these are people that we actually voted for and helped get into these offices, right? So I asked them, what Republicans can you call or do you have a relationship with that can actually impact your community? Because if you're saying they're the same, they don't do. I know that you can call me, right? You know you can call me, and I'm able to be able to call certain people, and there's other people that can make those in our community. I'm not the only person that can make those calls in our community, that can get things done in our community, can have people come on and say, hey, we need resources in our community for the parks. We need to get a new park. They just built Althea Gibson just got High Bridge Park done over. Like, these things are happening because of relationship. And it wasn't even me. It was my brother Pop. Shout out to him. He throws a basketball tournament in High Bridge, and he reached out to Althea and said, hey, we need to get some new basketball courts and some new rims. And they're supposed to do the park over. And those are things that can act, those are tangible, things that can happen that I know happened with Democratic people that have been voted in office. And I asked them, I said, which Republicans are you able to reach out that you've seen do things like that in our communities? Where do you have the relationship? So when you're telling me they're all the same, it doesn't even make sense to me because I've literally campaigned and been on the front line with the Democratic officials and elected officials. I've been on the front line with them and I've watched them get into office and I'm able to utilize them to help our communities. So tell me where you can do that. So I don't get when they keep saying that shit to me because I don't understand how you even rationalize that. I think it's some shit that they hear on the internet over and over so much, so they just repeat it. And then what happens is when they need something done in the community, they say they call me. And you know who I'm calling? I'm calling to somebody that's in Democratic office to help you. So when you tell me that, it's so asinine to me when friends of mine say, oh, these people ain't doing nothing for us. They don't do nothing. But you call me, and who the hell you think I'm calling? Like, who you think I'm gonna call to help what's going on in the community? When you say we need to do a block party and all this, and we need permits and we need to get all these things, who you think I'm gonna call and say, hey, we want to.
And some people might feel like a permit or whatever, that's just one thing. But I know, like, for instance, my relationship with Eric Adams was clearly very strained. But I can tell you that when I needed information, people get arrested, stuff be happening in New York with our friends, their kids and family members. There were people I could call in his administration. And in fact, in one instance, I called about something. And even though the relationship was strained, he went and looked into it himself to see what was going on. It definitely does not exist that same way when I'm in cities and places where there are people who are not Democratic leaders. That's just the truth.
It's just a reality.
Now,
So that's why I'm
people may
trying
say they
to.
have a
How do we
different
get tricked
experience.
into believing that dumb shit? It's like it doesn't even make sense.
And it doesn't make the Democrats.
No, it doesn't make them perfect because
Or
we
even-
definitely have to call them out. We have to, and there's some of them that just ain't shit at all. But I'm just trying to tell you, I don't know any Republican that anybody that I know can call to get things happening outside our community. I don't know. And I know the people that tell me that, they don't know nobody. And the closest person they might know to anybody within government is me. And you calling me to help you with stuff, but telling me that the Democrats don't do shit for you. It is
that's always the way that it is, right? You have families right now who have lost their children, who have said, you know, to some sort of state-sanctioned violence, and they've said, I, prior to this moment, wasn't involved in the movement at all. I wasn't involved in the movement. Matter of fact, I thought that was some whack shit. It got nothing to do with me. And now that I am actually in the system and trying to navigate this system to address whatever, my child, my loved one, I am now sharing the message, don't wait until it's your child. I've heard that over and over again by families. And so what often happens is that people don't see it until they feel it. And, you know, what we try to fight for every day is that you won't have to feel it. And without holding you, without judging you for where you may or may not have been ignorant to what it takes to like move the wheels. And I get it, because for most people, their position is that they want the whole pie, and we deserve that. And they would be right to say that they're tired of piecemeal. They're tired of these, you know, shorthand wins. They want real deep systemic change. And I get that, and I understand it, and I respect it. And I wish I, you know, could be responsible for making all the changes at once. But I do know one thing: there's a system that exists in America where there are people who are in charge, who get to make decisions about your lives, your children's lives, and all of us collectively. And while there are people who may be working to change it, dismantle it, and I truly do believe we're in a moment where there's going to be a different thing that exists. While that is happening, still, this system has the ability to really harm people. And we have to be engaged in building and protecting at the same time.
We have to. We can't. I keep saying it, and I'll say it again. I'm tired of having, you know, symbolic wins. I'm tired of having symbolism. I'm tired of dying on the cross. I'm tired of not to take anything, you know, from the Bible, but it's just like I want to see us actually win something to where we actually benefit. I'm tired of our leaders going out, taking shots, and they dying at 30, broken on. I'm tired of those levels of wins and moral victories. I'm tired of that. I actually want us to be strategic. I actually want to see us prosper. I want us to evolve. I want us to create generational wealth. I want us to actually be able to thrive and live. You know, and that's what my hope for. And I just think in order to get there, we have to understand strategy, and we got to put pieces in play. When you play chess, you don't just come out with your first piece and just try to get checkmate. No, you sacrifice a pawn. You might have to sacrifice a knight. You have to push a pawn. You got to move the queen out the way. The queen might have to protect you. Like, there's strategy. It just ain't you just go out there and say, nah, I want it. No, strategy. These people are playing with strategy. They playing chess and you playing checkers. And this is why we keep losing, because they're like, nah, why don't you just jump the piece? Just go out there and fight face to face. No, they're not fighting you face to face because they know they can't beat you face to face. So you playing by, I heard Wallow said, you playing by a set of rules that nobody even playing by. You got a handbook with rules that nobody even playing by no more.
Yeah, and by the way, my son, as you ended, people say this system don't mean nothing and this and that, but they using it. They are using this system.
Man, I want to end it, but a woman that I'm working with, shout out to Tanadrian, we was having this conversation today, and she was talking about different cultures and how they utilize this system and how she worked with this. And she said, I daily watch different cultures take this system and the welfare system and all these things, and these people are profiting and utilizing it. These billionaires that you talk about, they've utilized this system, and we telling our people that we need to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps and we don't need no help from nobody else. And everybody else that actually is winning in America is utilizing and benefiting off everything in America except for us, and we built it. And with that said, we've come to the end of another episode. I'm not gonna always be right. Tamika D. Mallory is not gonna always be wrong, but we will both always, and I mean always, be authentic.
Peace.
That's how we own it.